Well, thanks for joining us here on the final stretch on MaxPreps.com. I'm Zach Pop, and since this is the finale, we're going big, baby. We are getting everybody on today. And up first, the one and only Steve Montoya. How's it going, man?
Hey, bringing in the heavy hitters.
Exactly.
It's good. It's a great time here on MaxPreps as we've released our preseason top 25 plus 25 more football rankings. Yes, it's only June, but it's always football season, and one man with high school football always on his mind is our national football editor, Steve Speedwack, and we have him on the phone right now. And Steve, a busy last couple months. Must feel good getting the rankings out.
The fun is only starting, guys. This is sort of the tipping point, and now I think it's unofficially football season, so it's always fun to be talking pigskin.
And of course, the top 25 rankings just came out as you get a look right there, and you see Cedar Hill and Allen, two Texas squads owning the top two spots. But looking at the number one team, Speedwack, how come Cedar Hill got the edge as the number one team?
Well, honestly, this is almost like a 1A, 1B situation. Allen defeated Cedar Hill somewhat handily at the beginning of last season, but I just really like what Cedar Hill has returning. They are very well balanced. They have 8 starters back on offense. They have 4 starters back on defense. They have arguably the nation's most dynamic receiver in DeMarcus Lodge, who is just a true game changer. He took over that game against Katy last year in the Class 5A Division II state finals. I like their quarterback, Justin McMillan. Cedric Ware is also back, a very reliable running back. And they have key playmakers back on defense as well. Richard Moore at linebacker, Jarrell Moore at safety, and they have a very, very talented group of underclassmen. This year's 10th graders, guys who will be sophomores in the fall, people are saying could be one of the more talented groups to walk the halls at Cedar Hill. So if those young players can develop, there's already that senior leadership and talent. It could be a very special year for Cedar Hill.
Hey, Steve, at number 2, Allen, we all heard about the $60 million stadium not being able to play in that this year. Does that have an impact? And then second, how good is Kyler Murray, their QB?
Well, I don't think the stadium issues will really impact the team much this fall. I think right now it's more of a media circus and a distraction that they're having to deal with. But once they put the pads on in the fall, I don't think it will be too much of a problem for Allen. You mentioned Kyler Murray. I do think he is the single best high school football player in the country right now, and if I were picking a team to start the 2014 season, he would be my number one pick. He is just so dynamic, and talk about taking over games. He practically single-handedly brought Allen back against DeSoto in the state playoffs last year to help Allen survive that game and go on to win a state title. The reason that I have Allen number 2, I think a lot of people were expecting them number 1. They only have 1 starter back on defense. Now, he's a good one in Jalen Jones, but you know what? If they were to play Cedar Hill on August 30th, that inexperienced defense, I think, would come back to bite them. Now, when it comes to October, November, December, you could very well see Allen ascend to the number 1 spot. But to start the season, given what they have back, I think Cedar Hill is probably the safer pick.
And I know Allen has a ton of talented skill position players, but a team I'm keeping my eye on is Bishop Gorman. Where do they kind of rank when it comes to the skill positions in the country?
They're going to be really fun to watch because they have one of the nation's top tight ends in Alize Jones. He has a big physical frame, 6'4", 6'5", can go up and catch the football. He's a great leaper. And they added Cordell Brodus, the son of Snoop Dogg, who is one of the nation's top wide receivers according to 24/7 Sports. So the skill players on offense are not really the issue in terms of receivers and running backs. They also have Muhammad Ali's grandson who will probably factor into the backfield somewhere. But I think the question is going to be at quarterback. They have Danny Hong, who seems like he's been around high school football forever. It's a name that people have been aware of for a long time, but he's never really gotten on the field and gotten it done. This will be his first year starting. Now, I know Coach Sanchez thinks very highly of him, and I know that he's been with the program now, and he's kind of gone through the motions, and he should be able to step in and deliver the ball to Alize Jones and Brodus and those guys. But right now, that's sort of the big question mark on offense is, can the inexperienced QB get it done when they play the likes of St. John Bosco and Corona Centennial and those teams. I talked to Ray Brewer at the Las Vegas Sun, and it's clear, Bishop Gorman will not be challenged in the regular season by its Nevada foes. It's going to be those out-of-state teams. Can Danny Hong handle that level of competition? And that remains to be seen.
Hey, Steve, can't talk football rankings without mentioning the De La Salle Spartans, and they start the season off against Jesuit at 49ers.
Your new stadium, partner.
Levi's Stadium, and they haven't lost to a Northern California team since 1991. They probably won't lose this year. I don't know.
I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
Man.
They also have Del Oro on their schedule, and of course their league. But how good is De La Salle this season?
Well, De La Salle, I think, they were a very, very good team last year, and they nearly beat St. John Bosco, who just had, I think, a tremendous amount more of talent. De La Salle was very good last year, but St. John Bosco was just littered with blue-chip players, All-Americans, All-State selections, and De La Salle nearly defeated St. John Bosco, and they have some key players back on this year's team. So I think they're pretty much a no-brainer decision for the top team in California. Folsom in Northern California could potentially end that NorCal winning streak, given the offense that they have and Jake Browning back at quarterback. I know Joe Davidson at the Sacramento Bee is extremely high on Folsom. So that's sort of the game that people are interested in to get to the Open Division final in December. But what I've seen from De La Salle over the last few years is they do not start off the season sharp. They've struggled in Northern California games the last 2 or 3 years against teams that later in the season they would probably beat by 3 or 4 touchdowns. So that Jesuit game could be more interesting than people think. De La Salle will enter as the heavy favorite, but there is the chance that, like in previous years, De La Salle does not come out sharp, and that game could be very competitive.
And a team towards the back end of the top 25 is Trinity Christian, and they're loaded with a ton of talent on defense. Where do you kind of rank their defense in the state of Florida and overall in the country?
Well, when I talked to their head coach, Coach Dormany, he was telling me that they think when it comes to lining up 11 guys on the field at any given time that they can hang with the best teams in the state, the best teams in the country, and frankly, their defense, it could be historically great. When you just go back and look at the sheer talent that is on that roster on the defensive side of the football, it is one of the best that we've ever seen in the history of high school football. Now the question is, what sort of depth do they have? They are only a 3A school in the state of Florida, so if a guy like Kevin Tolliver, their blue chip cornerback who also plays quarterback for them, if he goes down, how big of an impact will it have? Do they have a guy that can step in? Linebacker Jeff Holland, he is a very, very good football player, and he's going to be counted on to do a lot for Trinity Christian this season. But, if he goes down, do they have a guy who can step in and just fill that spot? Teams like Allen, these big, huge public schools and, all over the country that are just have mega programs, 300 kids, 400 kids playing football, they have guys that are groomed just to step in. They may not be quite as talented as the starter, but they have bodies that can do the job and fill the role. A school like Trinity Christian that only has, probably 400, 500, 600 kids in the entire school, they don't have that sort of luxury. So the first wave of defense, those starters for Trinity Christian could be as good as any we've ever seen playing high school football. But if any one of those guys go down, it could be a very damaging loss for the team.
All right, Steve, before we let you go, give us a few games that the national audience should watch out for here this upcoming season.
Well, there's a bunch, guys. There's several involving just top 25 teams alone. Miami Central is going to play Hoover toward the end of August, and that game should be really fun. That's going to be a sort of a defensive grudge match. Both teams have defenses that are probably going to be ahead of the offense to start the season. Another game that was just announced, Oscar Smith against Booker T. Washington, our defending national champion. Oscar Smith enters the season at the back end of the rankings, number 24. I think they've got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder and are looking to really prove themselves. They had a big interstate game against Burns a couple years ago that they lost, so I think they're welcoming the opportunity to take on a bona fide, legitimate national powerhouse. So two games right off the bat, guys, before we even leave August, and both of them feature two top 25 teams.
Speedwack, always the best guy in high school football coverage. Hey, Steve, thanks for your time, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that's Steve Speedwack, our national football editor. You can read his full previews of all the top 25 teams right now on our national football page. And coming out tomorrow, Thursday, we will actually go more in depth on each of these teams with video, photos, write-ups.
You name it, we got it.
Exactly. So look for that coming out Thursday of this week.
And of course, staying with the top 25 rankings, let's switch things up and head out to the Diamond and check out this week's excellent 25 softball rankings. Amador Valley and Alexander Central are both deserving of the top spot, but Johanna Grauer and the Amador Valley squad claimed the top spot for the third consecutive week. Central continued their undefeated season after sweeping North Davidson in a best-of-3 game series to get their winning streak all the way to 65 games. And they take on Cape Fear this Friday evening in the North Carolina D4 state title game in search of their second consecutive state crown. And of course, to get a complete breakdown of the excellent 25 softball rankings, let's go to MaxPreps.com and click on the softball page.
All right, let's switch it up and go to baseball this time. And the top 50 rankings came out. And of course, number one, sticking there again, is Barb from Louisiana. Perlin was the only newcomer to this week's top 10, and Brother Rice, Lee Summit West, and Norco all dropped out of the top 15. So that's our baseball rankings. Speaking of baseball, a big week because the Major League Draft is going down. And of course, we love the draft because high school kids are involved. Straight out of high school, they will get drafted, and we will have videos, photos, more write-ups, you name it, we'll have it. Just join us on our national baseball page. Our baseball editor, Kevin Asklin, is on top of it.
Yeah, Kevin's always doing a great job with all the best coverage. And there's one thing definitely in common with good coaching. And of course, Kirsten Bill, a fresh new face here, was able to really talk about the importance and the impact that coaches have. Take it away, Kirsten.
Thanks, Zach. We're going to check out this video, which features some of the Positive Coaching Alliance's Double Goal Coach Award winners. The Double Goal motto is all about coaches who strive to win while also pursuing the more important goal of teaching life lessons through sports. In this video, current and former players talk about the impact their coaches have made on them.
Really, I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in today if it wasn't for him. So high school coaches play a critical role in the development of young men, not only on the field, but off the field as well.
She's just always there for us, really. She works them so hard, but she loves them so hard, and they want to work hard for her.
I think if I had to pick one word to describe him, it would probably be compassionate.
He's a class act.
He's an encouraging person.
He gives them everything he has. He respects them. He treats them like his own kids.
Coach Lindstrom emphasizes consistently, we're not going to give up on you.
They were from the old school. They were about discipline, about respecting the game, respecting yourself, and respecting your teammates and others.
An understanding of the game itself, and something that I could take with me, and that has helped shape me into the football player I became and the man that I became. So
he always gave me opportunities, and he gave everyone else opportunities to, pitch or whatever position they do. He always finds a way to get them there.
I think he's encouraging kids to take chances, but in a way that people know he's very positive, very supportive.
He really wanted to let each kid know that he believed in them, and you could tell he just took the extra time to help each kid reach their own potential.
This is my third year with him, and it's just like a lot more than just soccer.
I always said, even before he was my coach, that he was one of the biggest role models in my life after my parents.
Players need to feel the coach believes in them, and it's taking the time to think about what they need, can relate to them, and I think he does that really, really well.
The experience that we have, I feel so lucky that I can be part of a team like this, and I hope that more people can in their life.
MaxPreps is happy to be able to honor such great coaches who are making better athletes as well as better people. I know growing up, I was able to have such great coaches who were there for me and had a huge impact on my life. What about you, Zach?
Well, thank you, Kirsten. And one coach that always comes to mind was back my freshman year. I won't say back when, but was Coach Tom Donaldson. Really did a good job. Coached me up on the hardware, obviously, but hardwood. But the thing he did most was he really taught confidence, not just on the court, but off the court. And now we're bringing in Christopher Stonebreaker, who was a coach that comes to mind for you, Stoney.
How about that switch, though?
Right? That was quick.
Gosh.
About 15 seconds to spare.
Man, barely got in. But I would say a coach that comes to mind is one that we all know pretty well here at MaxPreps, Andy Beal. He actually had his birthday yesterday. If you look right there, he's right in the middle. This
Happy
is
birthday, Andy.
Cameron Park Recreation League, Andy. And then the next picture that you're going to see is of Andy back in his day.
He had little hops.
Hey, he played ball. He
Get
also,
up, young fella.
Not only did he coach here at MaxPreps, or is he coaching at MaxPreps, but he also coached at Ponderosa High, and he learned a lot of skills that he passed on to his kids that played at Ponderosa and everything while he was at Canoga Park down in the Southern California. So Andy Beal, I would say, is one of the coaches that we all know and love here at MaxPreps.
And of course, I know I haven't been here as long as you guys have, but my time here since September, I mean, Andy's always been there, and he's just a class act, and you can tell he's one of the best guys in this world, and he can hoop a little bit too. He's got a little bit of hops there. I think it runs in the family. I've seen a couple of his kids with some sick crossovers breaking ankles on the floors before.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. I know he has a mean jumper for sure too. But anyways, let's get into some of the things that we do here and what's going to be happening in December.
Some big news coming up, right?
December
We just
26th.
announced the Max Holidays Classic coming up, and a ton of teams. Of course, the national champs from last year, Modern Day, will be there. And who are some guys that you might be paying attention to, Stoney?
There's a lot of teams. If you noticed this last year, we had a great turnout. Jason Todd is shown there, was our MVP. Jackson of Washington won it. They beat Capital in the championship. This upcoming year, it looks like we are going to be stacked with talent. We have teams coming from Texas like Prestonwood Christian. We also have a team from Spain coming out. We have Modern Day, our defending national champion, making another visit. They actually won 2 years ago in 2012. They won the tournament.
And Modern Day is a team I'm looking forward to because there'll be no Stanley Johnson this year. And this might turn into MJ Cage's team, the son of Michael Cage, former 12-year NBA vet. So that's a team I'm keeping my eye on, see how Modern Day does this year. They've won 4 consecutive state titles. So do you think they have a chance to make it 5 with the absence of Stanley Johnson now at the University of Arizona?
I mean, they have MJ Cage right here, as you guys see, and they have a lot of talent coming up. You can never say that Modern Day will not be coached well by McKnight. You know, by the time he gets to the MaxPreps Holiday Classic, he's going to have 1,000 victories. It's going to be incredible to see him in the building, to see Modern Day. And again, I said 2012. I meant, so we had 2011 Modern Day. I had one with Xavier Johnson, Caden Reinhardt, Stanley Johnson as well. And then 2012 came in with the Harrison brothers. 2013 was Todd, and 2014, we don't know. I mean, Modern Day looks like they're going to be very, very good. Again, Prestonwood Christian looks like they're going to be very, very good. We're going to have some very talented teams. Another team is Sierra Canyon. They are young, but they have the Freshman of the Year on their team. They have just tremendous talent. As you see Cody Riley on the screen right now, that's a team as well that could actually go and give Modern Day some trouble. And if he plays well, it might be his coming out. I mean, his sophomore year, it might be his coming out.
Yeah, and I mean, he can't improve too much. I mean, he had a stellar freshman campaign, and looking forward to seeing the 2014 MaxPreps Holiday Classic. And there's going to be a ton of tall guys that we'll be able to keep our eyes on too, over 6'8" and above. It's always nice to see the big guys balling.
Yeah, we are going to have a lot. I mean, MJ Cage is one of those, and Cody Riley is another one. We're just going to have a lot of talent coming from all across the country, all going to the Coachella Valley, December 26th through 30th. And again, we have 16 teams in the Invitational Division. Folsom, who made it to the state championship last year.
Jordan Ford, that kid can ball.
He's not a tall guy, but he can ball.
Yeah.
He is a guard that can go out, average 22.6 points per game last year, really put the team into a position to maybe even win against St. John Bosco in the state championship. So just the talent this year from top to bottom, 7 champions that are coming into the place, and it's going to be really good. And as you see here, of course, the MaxPreps Holiday Classics, just not, the games, but we also have the three-point competitions, the slam dunk competitions.
My favorite part, slam dunk.
And everything that goes on with just going to the Coachella Valley during that portion of the year, and being able to enjoy the beautiful sun, the great weather, and the atmosphere is second to none in America's finest high school basketball tournament.
And of course, this is the finale of the final stretch. And before we go ahead and wrap up, we're going to go ahead and send it out to the War Room, where Megan Pache will tell us about the very busy summer we have upcoming here at MaxPreps. Take it away, Megan.
Hey Zach, thanks for having me on. I'm hanging out here in the War Room, also known as the Peach Pit here at MaxPreps headquarters. Wanted to give the fans a quick overview of what's happening here at MaxPreps over the summer and what they can look forward to in the summer months and into the fall. First up, the studio you're in right now is getting a major facelift, so we'll be kicking off the 14-15 school year with fresh production sets. So the design team here will have us looking our best as we cover the best in high school sports. During the remodel, however, we will continue to have weekly video updates throughout the summer and leading up into the fall, so you can stay up to date on what's happening during those summer months. And then starting in late August, every Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific, Steve Montoya, Chris Stonebreaker, and National Football Editor Steve Speedwack will have a 30-minute live show dedicated to football. They will preview the weekend ahead, look back at the top plays, they'll have special guests, and much more. And lastly, I want to mention that we have some exciting products coming your way to in the fall season. So for the first time ever, we are going to have coaches with MaxPreps access to the admin. So here on your mobile device, you're going to be able to access schedules, scores, and rosters. So here you can update your games on the fly. Most importantly, though, you're going to be able to send us in your game score. So on that bus ride home, you'll be able to send in the score right after your game. Also, we've got a roster feature here where you can take photos of your team and display them right on your roster on MaxPreps. You can take the photo from your mobile device, and that's a great option we have for our coaches. Next up, for the fans, this is something that we've been looking forward to for a very long time. This fall, MaxPreps is launching the first ever high school sports record book. So you've seen what we can do with the season leaderboards, and now we're compiling tens of thousands of records across major sports to showcase state and national all-time leaders. So this is truly a revolutionary product for MaxPreps, for the fans and the coaches, and this is something you're not going to be able to get anywhere else. So definitely looking forward to these exciting new products in the 14-15 school year. So a lot is happening over the summer months. Zach, we'll kick it back to you in the studio.
Well, thank you, Megan. And I don't know about you, Stoney, but I am looking forward to the summer. You know how we roll here at MaxPreps.
Oh, yeah.
Go big or go home. And I love all the new cool assets that we're getting along here. It's going to be easy to pay attention to what's going on in high school sports.
Even though school is, going into the summer break, here at MaxPreps, that's like our biggest time of the year. The busiest time of the year is just the summer months, because we're just ramping up for the next school year. And as you can see, we're going to be coming out with some really cool products. I mean, national record books, being able to take all 16,000 of the high schools across the country and be able to take the records from them and display them online and compare to others, and really create something special in that. And then going mobile as well, and being able to let coaches just upload photos directly from their phone or their iPad to put onto their roster pages throughout MaxPreps. So we're doing some special things here, and I'm looking forward to next year.
Partner, that's all the time we have here on the final stretch. It's the finale. Once again, thanks for checking us out here on MaxPreps.com. For Chris Stonebreaker, Steve Montoya, Steven Speedwack, our basketball editor, Jason Hickman, Megan Pache, Kirsten Bill making her first appearance.
Go Kirst.
Get it. And of course, we got to thank our video guys. I mean, Chris Burrell does an outstanding job. Ryan Escobar's a man. And our director, Scott Hargrove, always the man when it comes to video editing. We out, baby. Thanks for checking us out at MaxPreps.com, America's source for high school sports.